Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Empowered Abroad. This week, we have another student, Zahrah Sattar, who we placed for the fall 2023 intake last year, and she's currently in University of Exeter studying, majoring in business economics, and she just finished her first year, progressing towards her second year. So, thank you so much, Zara, for taking out the time to be here.
Hi, thank you, Saim, for having me.
And so, Zara, can you please give a bit of a brief about yourself? What was your previous education, and what are you currently doing in Exeter?
Okay. My name's Zahrah Sattar, and I'm studying business economics at the University of Exeter. This is my first year of undergrad. I did my A levels at Karachi Grammar School, and I studied economics, maths, and psychology. I did physics in my first year of A levels, and then in my second year, I decided to drop it because I didn't want to pursue that. And yeah, now I'm doing economics, but also with a bit of business. So it's called business economics, but essentially it is like economics and management because I have like management modules as well. So yeah.
Okay, so can you tell me a bit about your O and A levels? Where did you do your O levels from? A levels was how was your academic journey in O and A levels?
O levels I did at Convent of Jesus and Mary. I decided early on that I didn't want to pursue sciences. So I went towards the commerce end of things. So I did economics, maths, and accounting as well in my O levels. And then in my A levels, I went to Karachi Grammar School, and that's when I did economics and maths and psychology.
Okay, okay. And in A levels, did you already have an idea that you want to pursue business? What time did you start to realize that you want to go towards the commerce field? Did you have clarity early on, or you just realized that later towards your A levels?
I think it was in O levels, which is when I decided to drop the science aspect of things. And then in my A levels, I did keep my options open when I took physics in my first year, but then I didn't really enjoy it as much, and I didn't really see like myself doing physics because I did have economics modules and then there was just physics, so I didn't really see how that gelled
Yeah,
that well together. So that's when I decided to go towards the commerce end of things. And
yeah,
now I am, even though I'm doing economics, it's not a pure economics degree.
yeah,
I did want to keep my options open.
yeah.
So that's why I have like a mix of other modules. I've also chosen accounting and finance, a bit of those.
Oh,
I decided that accounting wasn't exactly for me, but I do enjoy finance. So I may be taking more finance modules in my second year of university.
okay, that's cool. When I was in university, actually, I sucked in finance. So I was also doing a business degree in my national
Yeah.
university. And I used to try to like stay away as much as I could from anything which included finance or numbers or stats or anything like that. So my major was marketing and international business. So I could do
Yeah,
anything.
finance isn't the easiest.
Yeah, it's extremely hard for a lot of people.
It
And
is extremely hard.
it's a niche as well. I mean, like for those who get it, they get it. But those who don't, they just don't.
I
So,
did struggle a bit with it, to be
really.
honest. I don't feel like I'm naturally good at finance, but it is something that I feel is important. And like if I do want to go in
Yeah.
that direction, I should take it.
But you're not like planning on doing finance major, right, in your university. Maybe just take few.
No, no, no. I'm going to stick to my degree,
Okay.
but also have a little bit of finance in there.
Oh, so maybe just like take few electives here and there.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so coming back to your A levels, right? When you were in A levels, did you know at that time where you wanted to apply, or what was in your mind when you started to do your application process in terms of what country you want to go, what universities you want to go? What is your thought process like? And at what point did you decide where you want to go? Was it A1? Was it A2?
In A1, I was very clueless. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to the US or Canada or the UK. I didn't know anything about the process.
Yeah,
It was in second year when I was like, I need to start thinking about this. I need to start applying. And that's when I heard about Sir Danish and Empower. One of my friends was actually going to Sir Danish, so she recommended him, and I got his contact through her. And when I first came to Sir Danish, I told him I was like, I have no idea where I want to apply. I don't know what I want to do. He sort of helped me. So he basically asked me like my budget, which I feel like is very important when it
yeah,
comes to universities. You need
definitely.
to have that in mind. So according to my budget, he like tailored like a list of universities for each country. So I had it for Canada, I had it for Netherlands, I had it for the States, I had it for the UK. And then looking at the budget, I sort of decided that the UK was the best for me, just because like following the British system from such a young age, it just makes
Yeah,
sense to
yeah,
go
yeah, for
towards
sure.
that. And also it was 3 years. I knew I didn't want to do 4 years.
Mm,
So that's when I decided the UK. And what's funny is that I didn't even know that University of Exeter existed at that time.
Really?
It
Wow.
was Sir Danish who like recommended it to me because I was just thinking the big ones like Warwick, King's,
Yeah, yeah.
LSE, but then
The big brand names in
um,
Pakistan, especially.
exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
Because when you talk to people, that's the first thing that
Yeah,
comes to
yeah,
their
yeah,
mind, you
yeah,
say the UK.
yeah.
And Exeter was at the bottom of my list. I was like, I've never heard of it. I don't know if it's a good university. But then Sir Danish told me that it's a good university. It's Russell Group. It's more feasible than the universities in London. And also, if you're in London, you don't have campus life. That was
True.
such a big thing for me.
100%. Yeah,
And
you
like
know.
making friends, like all of that is so
Yeah,
different. And I'm so glad I opted for like campus life as opposed to like being in the city. So I think it was second year of A levels, which I think is a little bit late. I
yeah.
would recommend like start counseling a little bit earlier, especially if you're like opting for the US because there's so many applications and stuff. UK is still manageable in your second year,
Yeah.
but I figured my stuff out in my second year.
So like that's a very important part, right? Like I want to touch about like your university life in Exeter and how it's like because you're living in Devon, if I'm not mistaken, right? That's the
Yeah.
area where you're living in, and I've heard a lot of good stuff about it because I've had friends who've also been there in the past few years. So I've heard a lot of good stuff about the fact that the outskirts of UK, where a lot of universities are like Devon, or you have Tyne, which is in Newcastle. These kind of places are like good places to be for like students just generally because
Hmm.
they have a lot of campus life and it's
Yeah.
usually just student led, so it's very easy to find friends and make friends over there.
Hmm.
But before I come on to the university part aspect, I want to come back to A level. So you said that you started deciding when you were in A2. When at that point Danishbhai was giving you considerations at all, what's the reason that maybe you didn't look towards another place like Europe, for example, or US? Is there any other reason apart from the fact that of course you come from the similar system? Any other
Hmm.
motivating factor or something?
I think with Canada, it was just like I think maybe two or three universities that I was like drawn to. That was like UBC and University of Toronto. It was a bit pricey. I didn't know like much about scholarships and like the universities in the US that were offering scholarships, I hadn't really heard of them before. I was like, I'm sure they're good universities, but I'd rather go to one that I have heard of before
Yeah.
that's more well known. So that's the reason why I wasn't too sure about like US and Canada. I did actually apply to two universities in the Netherlands. So I applied to University of Amsterdam and Erasmus Rotterdam. I think I
Okay.
even gave a test for the University of Amsterdam. It was one of the two that I did give a test for. So Danish helped me with that as well.
Oh,
So I did apply there. I got into University of Amsterdam. I considered it for a bit, but there's a bit of a housing crisis
there is.
there at the
There is.
moment. So it's really hard to find accommodation there. So that's why I think that was like my last. I was like, okay, UK is the place for me.
You made
So.
such a good decision by not going to Amsterdam or Erasmus because my cousin just graduated about
Yeah.
1 year ago from Erasmus University, right? He did his master's over there in international relations, and there's such a big housing crisis that he couldn't avail
Hmm.
his 1 year post-study work visa at all because they
Yeah,
were like, if
exactly.
you can't find accommodation, then you don't come here. It was actually a
Yeah,
statement issued by the government that if you can't find accommodation, then don't confirm your university because they have
exactly.
nowhere to live over there in Netherlands. So it was such an issue that he had to come back,
Hmm.
and now he still has 1 year, but he can't avail it because there's nowhere to live over there. So,
Yeah, it is a struggle.
and that's it, like across Europe. It's like most places in Europe because they're
Uh-huh.
not made to like accommodate so many international students, and now they're getting like so many at one time that they're not used to it.
Yeah,
So
I think that's why it's a bit more convenient in the UK because you know you're going to
yeah,
be on campus. And I think
yeah.
that's so important to be on campus because you're like surrounded by people from your course and you can make friends more easily. It's just with University of Amsterdam, I was going to live off campus somewhere else with random people, and that just didn't make sense to me. That's why.
So I want to come to like the on-campus part, right? Before I talk about anything else. So you say that living on campus is very beneficial. Can you like explain
Mhm.
for those people who want to go to UK, right? But they're not sure about accommodation, how it works. What does on-campus mean in UK, and how it's living like in maybe Exeter, for example?
So for me, on campus means literally right next to the business school. So I'm maybe like a 3-minute walk from the business school, which is right there. You can wake up like half an hour before lectures and just walk to your lectures. I have friends who live off campus, and it's so inconvenient for them because if you have like an 8:30 lecture, you probably have to wake up
Yeah.
ages before to get dressed and then walk all the way. And it's very cold. In the winter, it's freezing. So to walk in that weather is so inconvenient.
Hmm.
And also because when you're on campus, if I walk out of my room, if I go downstairs to the shop, like I'll bump into so many people I know, and I feel like socializing is so important. It makes or breaks your university experience.
100%.
So like I've made so many more friends than the people who've lived off campus, and I like introduce her to my friends, and she'll have no idea what's going on campus. It's just a completely different experience. So I feel like being in on campus, being close to the library, being able to go to like the forum, the like student hub, being like in that environment is just it's just part of the university experience. Like it doesn't make sense to be off campus in your first year.
Yeah. So what's the like cost difference, would you say, for the audience in living off campus and on campus? Is there like a big difference in terms of cost or
There's some accommodations that are around the same,
okay,
like almost the same as what I pay.
okay.
Um, it depends on what kind of accommodation, not so much the location. So if you have like an ensuite, which is
Yeah,
what I have, it's obviously more expensive.
yeah,
If you have catered accommodation where you have food, that's obviously again more expensive. If you have like a studio,
yeah.
even more expensive. So it
Okay,
just depends on like what you prefer. I opted for self-catered. I didn't want catered because the
okay.
food timings like didn't it
Yeah,
was a bit I didn't want to do that. I think self-catered is what I would recommend just because you have a kitchen, so you can share a kitchen with your flatmates, like you can socialize with them. Self-cater, like I would just opt for that.
okay.
Um, Ensuite is more convenient. Obviously, you have your own bathroom, you don't have to share. If you do share a bathroom, it is cheaper.
Yeah.
It's more expensive. Um, Ensuite is obviously way more expensive. So, but it just depends what you want, obviously.
So like if
So,
you compare like on-suite to on-suite, right, off campus versus on campus, then you wouldn't see too much of a difference. Is what
not really, no. I
okay.
think my friend who pays a lot for accommodation, she has a studio.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's one like
I
separate
don't think, yeah,
on-suite, yeah.
exactly. So it just depends on what you want.
Okay, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, how would you say are the type of people over there? What kind of people have you interacted with? What kind of nationalities are you friends with? And
Hmm.
how's your experience been with international students? Because everyone has a different experience, right? Like
Yeah.
when I was in International University, it's Australian University, I was in Malaysia. So, a lot of
Hmm.
people I would interact with were predominantly Asians, but then they were transfer students from Europe and Australia,
Uh,
and then a lot of British people as well. I'm sure that
yeah.
the type of people you meet are quite different as well. So, how's your experience been with international students?
So Exeter has a reputation of being like extremely like white dominated. It's
Okay.
considered a very like posh area, you could
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
So you'll have a lot of English people here, but also like a massive group of international students. My friend group personally is like a huge mix of like international students. So I have like friends from Portugal, from Ukraine, like I have a few friends from Pakistan, some from India, some from like Dubai, so like a huge mix of people. I think I get on with internationals a bit
Okay.
better than I
Yeah.
would with English people, but I get along with my flatmates really well. They're all English. One of my best friends is my flatmate. She's English. So it just depends who you vibe with, I
Yeah.
feel like. It's not like restricted to a certain like country or nationality. It just
Yeah.
depends who you get along with. Um, it also depends on your course,
Yeah.
like that's how you make friends primarily. That's what I think. Like most of my friends were through my course, like not from a specific society or
Yeah.
like I just have one very close friend from my flat. So the rest of them were like all from my course.
I think that's what ends up happening because when you actually go and study and you have courses together, you see them almost every other day, right? And if you're
Yeah,
in
exactly.
society, then okay, fine, I guess you can meet them, but then that's scheduled maybe weekly or 2 times a week, something
Exactly.
like that. So you
Yeah.
won't be seeing them as often as you see someone in your class.
Yeah. From your
So,
course, it's like you're seeing them day and night,
yeah.
every single day.
Yeah.
You walk
And
to
it's,
your classes
I mean, you
together.
share the same sentiments, right? You suffer together, you get out of
Exactly.
bed
Yeah.
together, and then you pass together,
Revising for
and you
exams, like in the
yeah.
library, like in between lectures, getting like
Yeah.
food together. So you basically spend the whole day together,
Yeah, yeah.
pretty much.
And it's a
So yeah.
lot different from when you're actually studying over here in Pakistan, right? Because you are
Yeah.
an international student and a lot of them are international students. So you're
Hmm.
sharing basically a 24-hour cycle together,
Yeah.
almost, except for the time when you go home and sleep. So it's a lot
Yeah.
different. And I think
Exactly.
from probably you would agree with that too. When I was also abroad and I made friends, I'm still friends with a lot of them to this day. You actually connect on a much more deeper level because
100%. Yeah.
the reason that you're with them for such long durations that you might not be in
Yeah.
Pakistan.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
So
very different.
yeah, that's definitely something I would recommend to every person that when they do go abroad to study, don't just stick to your small group. Don't just go to the Pakistan
Yeah.
society,
100%.
make 2, 3 friends, and then just stick with those friends for like ages
Yeah.
and ages. explore,
Yeah.
make international friends, try to learn a new language or their culture. That's
It's very
also good.
easy to get comfortable with like a small group of people,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
what I really liked about Exeter is that during Freshers Week they had these like introduction sessions where they very literally physically forced us to talk to people. They were like people with from the same country like get into a group, people wearing the same shoes get into a group. So we
that's
for
nice.
an hour and a half we were just socializing, and I've actually stuck with those friends.
Wow.
So they made us make friends, which
Yeah.
I think is really good.
I hope you stick with those friends because I remember the first time I made friends in my orientation week in university. I mean, it's not a bad thing or a good thing, but I didn't stick with that friends group, right? Like, because like
Mhm.
it was very like for me it was a bit of a forced and weird interaction. So after like a week or so, I started making an
Yeah.
active friends group, and then I
Yeah.
stuck with them for the longest period of time. But I mean, everyone has a different experience, so
Yeah,
good to
exactly.
hear about your experience as well. Okay, I want to come a bit further back to before you entered university because you've already explained about how university life is and time at Exeter has been. So when you get enrolled in Empower, I want to come towards that time. What difference did you see in your application, or what part did Empower actually play in your application process, or did you think that they were helpful in any specific way?
Mhm. So I've obviously had counselors at like school as well. In
Yeah,
my A levels, I had a counselor. I feel like everyone focuses mostly on like the application part of things, which obviously is crucial.
yeah,
Empower helped me with my essay, with like choosing my universities, all of that was there. It's just that the visa process to me particularly was very stressful. Like to get a UK student visa is very stressful. Most of in at least when I went to uni,
yeah.
which
I remember
was in
that.
September,
Yeah,
um, most people weren't getting their visas on
yeah,
time. I got very lucky, but that was also very stressful because making all the payments, no one talks about that.
yeah, 100%.
And I got help every step of the way from Sir Danish, from you, from Ryan. It was just like, I had so many people helping me along the way. And also when I was freaking out about every little thing and my grades and like everything, I had that support from Empower, which I feel like it was like tailored to my experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, there's a very like individual service. It
Mm.
wasn't just like I was just a number. I didn't feel like just a number. I felt like I could just come into like the office and like stress about my stuff and get help with every little thing. So I feel like that makes Empower stand out from every other counseling place that I've heard of or seen.
Yeah. It's amazing that you had a good experience, and like not to toot
Yeah.
our own horn, but like I think that also comes a bit from the fact that you talked about Raya, the graduate from UCL as well. Me from
Hmm.
we understand the fact that how it's like. It's very stressful. It
Exactly.
was
Yeah.
stressful for us also when we were doing our application process. And that's now when we do deal with students like you, we try to make it less stressful because it is very stressful as it is. You're thinking of 100 different things and you don't want additional
Exactly.
problems, right? Especially when you have a counselor. So glad that we made the process easy for you. And the funny thing is that you're talking about your visa process. But the reason I just laugh right now is because last year when we were doing your visa process, there was issues with a
Yeah.
lot of students in terms of
Yeah.
getting the appointment. If you remember at
Yeah.
Jerry's for your UK visa, so you
Yeah.
got off really lucky to be honest, because there were students around you who didn't get their visa appointment, and they were
Hmm.
trying from every different direction to be able to get a visa appointment, and they were unsuccessful. So it was quite a mess. Of course, that's not
It
something
was. Yeah.
be under our control. It's UK visas, but yeah, I mean, I would definitely say you got off lucky during that time. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Thank.
There's some people who had to take gap years even
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they didn't get their student visa.
Yeah, we had two students like that actually who deferred their
Wow.
semester and then they went in January, February. So
Okay.
yeah, so they it worked out in the end, but it was quite problematic. Okay, so
Yeah.
coming back to your university life. So what do you want to do? Like right now, of course, you're in university. No one wants to think about what they want to do in the future after the first year of the university. But have you thought about that moving forward once you'll be done with university? What do you want to do? Do you want to stay in the UK? You want to gain some
Okay.
experience, come back?
Yeah. So I do have a 2-year work visa, so I will make the most of that. I will stay on for those 2 years.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to stay for the long run. But recently there've been like a shift in the laws, and apparently internationals have to be paid more
yeah.
than locals,
Oh,
which
really?
means that yes, which means that companies who are hiring obviously internationals would opt against that because they don't want to have to pay more. So they've made it very difficult for us to survive in this job market.
Wow.
So I'm gonna really, really try, really push for it. Um, I mean, in an ideal situation, you should specialize in something.
Yeah,
That's why I opted against taking business management because I want to be a little more
yeah,
specific
yeah.
in which direction I want to go in.
Interesting.
So I think that's important. Maybe consulting, I haven't really figured it out. That's why I'm trying to take a little mix of modules like finance, so I know what I want to do. At least by the end of second year, I should know exactly what I want to do. But I definitely want to stay on in the UK. Like today, I went to the forum just so that they can help me with like my resume and stuff, so I can start applying for jobs on campus. Just so that I have a bit of experience,
Yeah,
because I feel like locals have an upper hand because they have
100%.
experience. Even if it's like working at a cafe, they have something for their resume, and
Yeah,
we as Pakistanis don't have that.
yeah,
So I
100%.
feel like that's the first step for second year. I want to have a job, so I have extra money. So start off with that maybe, and then obviously like secure an internship for second year, and then hopefully by the end of second year, I should know what exactly what I want to do.
So have you looked at like any part-time jobs or like thought about a part-time job?
Yeah, there are a few roles on campus. Like if I want to be like on campus, like have a job, I can do a mix of things. So obviously you can work at like the cafes on campus. That's one thing. The
Yeah,
other thing, that's for hospitality.
yeah.
I'm opting against that. I want to do like they have roles in marketing. You can be like a mentor for first year students and stuff like that. So I'm gonna do that. There's also like a role for when first year students come in, you can help them like find their accommodations. There's even roles for that. So they have so many opportunities for uni students. So one of those definitely I want to take up.
So like for aspiring students, where do you get to know about these kind of on-campus opportunities?
Um, so we have something called Career Zone,
Okay.
where they like send out emails. Like obviously, if you're part of the uni, you get those emails and you can sign up. They send you loads of emails about internships, placements, job opportunities. So you're constantly updated if you're checking your email. They send out flyers. In all the bathrooms, they like put up like stickers and like posters for like new opportunities. So like you can't miss it. Like it's just always
Inside
there. Like,
bathroom.
like literally in the toilets, they have it.
Wow.
Like so, you can't really miss it.
Okay, okay, okay. That makes sense. Okay, so yeah, that's I mean pretty much it. I hope that you have a good experience and a good next 2 years in front of you.
Yeah.
Of course, my advice as a counselor would also be that you should probably, end up doing more internship experiences as well as part-time jobs which come your way
Hmm.
because it is
Yeah,
becoming increasingly difficult to be able to get a job in the UK. My friend
exactly.
just recently did his bar from Bristol and he just got a law
Right.
job right now after doing apprenticeship for almost 1 year and now he's in central London. But I was also speaking to him and he was telling me the exact same thing. So I don't see it getting too much easier, sadly, just because of the reason that there's such an influx of people trying to come into the UK for studies that they have to put a bit of restrictions for employment. But your best chance, if you would want to continue to do employment in the UK, and I say this to every student, it's tried and tested, is after your first year, which you are completing now, try to do as many internships as you can in your vacations. I know it's a bit of a battle because it's like, should I come to
Hmm.
Pakistan? Should I do an internship opportunity in UK? But in the long run, an opportunity which comes your way in UK, that will be the most beneficial thing you can take. You
You
got
can also
something.
do placements. I think that's really good as well.
So
I think
university helps you with that?
um yeah, you can opt for like a placement year. So that means your university degree
Okay,
is
okay, like a
4 years
co-op
instead.
in
Yeah.
Canada. Yeah, okay, okay, okay.
So like 1 year you go and you have work experience basically. You have to secure that
Yeah, I get
yourself. You
it. I
have
get
to
it.
get a job, but I think that gives you an upper hand. They
So
talk about it a
the,
lot.
the placement which you get in UK, you have to secure your own job.
You have to apply yourself. Like if
Oh,
you don't manage to get one, then you have to continue as a regular university student. I opted against that because I wanted to graduate in 3 years, but they do highly recommend doing a placement year.
well, that's quite actually different from Canada. Canada, they have the same thing. Instead of a 3 year degree, they have
Right.
a 4 year degree. But then what that is that co-op, the university basically helps you with the placement of your job.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more beneficial in that regards.
You do get a lot of guidance from the university though, I feel like.
Oh, okay, okay,
So
okay.
in that department. So I think it shouldn't be too hard. People do placements. It's very common here.
Oh, okay, okay. Makes sense, makes
Yeah.
sense. Have you gone to London anytime soon?
I've been to London, but both my trips to London were like day trips.
Oh,
I haven't done it properly. I need to do that.
yeah.
But I've just been exploring Exeter. Like I went, it's in Devon. I went to Cornwall, Newquay.
Oh,
So it's
I've heard about the
Exeter is
Cornwall
near the
beach.
beach, so it's really nice. So there are lots of areas that you can go to by the beach. It's worth exploring. So I've done that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but London is something I need to still do properly.
Yeah, I mean, you have a few days before you come to Pakistan. Might as well visit now.
Yeah, why not? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Got
always
it.
a good
Anyways,
trip.
Zara,
Yeah.
again, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
Of course, and best of luck for the future. And
Thank you.
hopefully, we will speak soon. And best of
Thank
luck again.
you.
Hopefully, you get good placements in the UK and Pakistan, wherever you end up decide to get placed. And
Hopefully.
yeah, thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much. This was great.
Yeah, thank you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, bye.
Bye.